Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Centurion Leadership Battalion podcast, your source of accountability, inspiration, and motivation to become your best and reach your fullest potential every day. Our motto, it's simple: to use our determination to crush our everyday leadership tasks so that we dominate in our delivery of services and products to our clients and achieve victory and personal growth, profitability, and creating environments for those around us to prosper. Let's get this show started.
Welcome back to the Centurion Leadership Battalion podcast. This is your host, Elena. We have Justin on with us, and we're really excited for our next Q&A episode today. Today, we are discussing what do leadership and corporate responsibility have in common. So, hey, Justin, we're so excited to hop into this question.
Thanks, Elena. Thanks, everyone. Real quick, share the episode, spread the word, Centurion Leadership Battalion. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Centurion Leadership Battalion. Eventually, we'll have a website up, centurionbattalion.com. So we are growing. The downloads are growing. That's pretty cool. We're starting to get in the hundreds, multiple hundreds per episode. So that's cool. And, I'm pretty excited. So that also being said, follow Elena and I on Instagram. You can find our handles in the notes. You can also find the reading list that we recommend for the core values and the month by month for entrepreneurs or leaders who are interested in growing and doing the thing. If we need to put more books up there, I know some people are avid readers and they do a book a week. I'm probably not going to do more than a book a month to answer those questions, but we will start building a library as we start releasing books or giving ideas for books during episodes as well. So we can talk about that if people want to do more reading or get extra reading. Corporate responsibility. I love this topic and I hate this topic. And here's why. The reason I hate it is because morally and ethically and to my core values, it has put me in a very weird position. And if we go back and we talk about the episode maybe on Mediocrity a few weeks ago, as a core value, a lot of entrepreneurs who have done well or do well or make a lot of money, to me, like they go into a mediocre area. Like a lot of them, like they get to the millions, a couple $1 million, and they just get average and they're happy and their purpose and their family's taken care of, and you get there. Okay. And that those friends or ex-friends or whatever they were, acquaintances, they're hard for me. Okay. And the reason being is because I think that, one, I'm in food, but two, I grew up with animals on a farm. Three, I have a different compassion for humans based on, if you go back to episode 12, what sort of happened to me as a kid. There's a fear and a mistrust of humans in general, but there's also a love of humans and a belief in humans to be better and do better in the next generation. So how does that tie into corporate responsibility? Well, in the United States, limited liability companies, for example, are like a human. They're no different in the legal system than a human, and so they can act like a human in our legal system, but represent lots of humans and a business, and limit the liability to the humans themselves. Okay, so now, what does that human now and that corporate responsibility that I create as an entrepreneur or a leader really stand for? And that's the interesting thing, because we have core values and morals and ethics as a human, but this legal entity that just basically looks, acts in court of law as a human, it acts like that. It follows the same laws. It's an entity inside, if it functions as a human in the legal system. Really, corporation, same things that we have to go through as a human. business law, that's what a corporation is. It literally is a living organism. It just doesn't actually have any physical tissue. And so what now becomes the responsibility of the thing I create? It's almost like I am now creating Frankenstein. What is my moral responsibility? And this, to me, is something we've come into. Yes, entrepreneurs important. Yes, we need to find solutions. Yes, we need to make money for our family. Yes, we need to create jobs. All of those things. But where the thing that has come to me as Justin Mazzaro at 24 years later of Food Service Partners, being an entrepreneur almost all my life, like the ultimate thing is where is the corporate responsibility? Where is the actual doing the right thing for the jobs, for the communities? Like, we attach ourselves to this. Like, we have companies like, you buy one shoe and we'll send a pair of shoes to Africa. Great. Doesn't help the fucking problem. The fucking problem is they need to learn how to make shoes on their own and build economies and businesses around it. In food, it's how do I get more people in farming and in restaurants that are promoting and doing the right thing by the environment and the communities and supporting the local businesses and economies. That's the corporate responsibility. And all corporate responsibility is how are we training our people to be better leaders and better humans and growing them overall? Not to be towards us, but overall as a human, so they can function with or without the corporation. The corporation is the parent. It's a legal thing. It should be there to grow us, no different than a church or a school as a legal entity. That's the purpose of it. A corporation should be the same thing. I get it. We have it in our head. It's there to make money. Yes, but so is your parents. Your parents were there to make money to support you so you could get educated. No different than a corporation. And so what is that corporate responsibility? That's one, grow the human. Two, take care of our planet and the animals on it. Period. It's all we have. And there is no stronger entities in this world other than governments than corporations. And they are the strongest people in our legal system. Whether we like it or not, the corporations that we are building today are global. And they have global impact, and they expand beyond government boundaries and borders. And that being said, we entrepreneurs, business people have the ability to be more responsible. And it's no different. Everyone's watching the Spider-Man movie, which it was awesome. Speaking of mediocrity, love that movie. But one thing that it teaches you in there, in the underlying context of everything Stan Lee did in the Marvel movies, is there's an underlying context of humanity there. We can do better. Bad shit happens always. But we can do better. And it's a very few people that'll stand up and be superheroes and not be mediocre. We just put superpowers on them to tell the story. But the reality is people have the superpowers by just not being mediocre, as we talked about in another episode. So corporate responsibility, not mediocrity. Corporate responsibility, doing the right thing. Corporate responsibility will make more money. You go teach them how to make shoes, teach them how to make mosquito nets, build economies, teach them better farming, benefit from it, become their partners, but make sure they have economic upside and ownership. And then watch what happens in their communities. Lawyers are needed. Doctors are needed. Maintenance people are needed. Electricians, plumbers, builders, blah, blah, blah. But you need to start the essential thing. And so what is the corporate responsibility? Our corporate responsibility is not always to the shareholders. We are so quick to make profit so we can expand faster. And that's our responsibility. I get it. We need it. You want to make the biggest difference. You've got to have the most money and grow the fastest to make the difference. If I'm arguing that, it's an interesting argument, because I'm also arguing that if you do it properly, you'll grow the fastest just out of reputation, not out of profitability only. And so corporate responsibility. I'm around a lot of entrepreneurs. I do Airtaste Syndicate. I do most of my life around it. A majority of the things that I find now is I have trouble being in the room for entrepreneurs that don't take corporate responsibility in the world very seriously. It's very hard for me to associate towards it. It's very hard for me to understand it. It's very hard for me to understand how people want all this justice stuff in the world, yet they don't go into business in their businesses and their corporations and practice it, what they want in their communities. Just saying. I hear about it a lot. A lot of people open their mouth, a lot of opinions. Words are not actions. And saying I have a corporate responsibility or a recycling program or I donate food is not corporate responsibility, guys. That's a marketing term. And corporate responsibility really is turned into this marketing term. We use it for marketing to benefit our business, to get employees, to put a little sprinkle dust on everyone so they believe we're diversified or whatever it is. Like I can tell you at Food Service Partners, like we have the conversations, but generally we're already that way. Like we like the best of the best, the cream of the crop, not mediocre. You want to excel at your job. That's who we have here. That's who lasts. Doesn't matter. Purple, green, yellow, whatever. That's my corporate responsibility. My corporate responsibility is to grow the humans and put the best people in place to do the job as possible so they can deliver the best food, because I deal with we as Food Service Partners deal with a very compromised population in the hospitals and long-term care homes. We have to be superheroes every day. Everyone on the floor has to go an extra mile so someone does not die. They are already compromised, particularly now during COVID. So what is our corporate responsibility? It's way bigger than just a word or I have a recycling program or we go pick up trash on the side of the road. It's got to be the ethos in your company by which you live. I don't know what that is in your service industries or your financial industries. Sorry, I'm not in those in the same way. And I'm anchored by food. So for me, it's very easy. I'm anchored in farming and food and corporate responsibility in humanely raised animals. Now, mind you, I talk about this, there's a dream within a dream. I still have to deal with all the other side of things that I don't necessarily agree with morally and ethically in terms of commercialized animals and commercialized farmings in some ways and non-organic in some ways and non-humane raised animals. I still have to do that. But I have to get the trust and I have to build those ecosystems now during COVID to get everyone to believe in the cheaper right now, grass-fed, grass-finished beef, pastured, non-GMO pork, because we're seeing a weird shift where that's becoming cheaper for us, if not almost the same price. But I had to do something to get it. I wish I didn't. I should just be like, nope, doing this, wash my hands of doing it. But I'm not going to compromise sick people and give up everything for a grass-fed cow right now. We got here with non-grass-fed cows. We're going to just have to take the transition. But that's my corporate responsibility. My corporate responsibility and my responsibility as Justin Bizzarro is to get that message across over a lifetime. Maybe it's not now, but I will not stop. Our company will not stop trying to push our own methods through Primal Rock that way, which is our own direct-to-consumer brands and partners and co-packers and vendors that we deal with coming together on one website that's building slowly, because it is very hard to build something like that during COVID. But we're not stopping because it is our corporate responsibility. And even though a lot of our clients are going in that direction and some of our clients are still not there, we're trying to show everyone that it is possible and that it does make sense and that it will make a difference and that it will solve us possibly being extinct in 1,000 years because we're destroying our planet at such a rate. I'm sorry, I don't care what you want to call global warming or whatever. I don't think it's I don't care what the fucking term is. Like, it's just humans being fucking claiming we're the smartest things on the planet and we're the dumbest. Like, we eat every day. It seems so simple and logical to me. If we were the smartest humans, that would be the way we fix the planet. So easy, so logical. We eat how many meals a day? We go to Starbucks. We go every time we're making a decision with our paychecks and with our money when we buy food. Why not just make a different one that saves the planet? Pretty simple. We don't even have to do anything. You don't even have to go out in the farms and plant the shit ourselves. Just fucking spend the money differently and be responsible. So you want a corporate responsibility, which I think is important. We've also got to take personal responsibility. So we love making sure corporates have responsibility, which I argue is not even truly corporate responsibility. But we ourselves don't even hold ourselves personally responsible to the same thing we hold our corporations to. So how do you expect a corporation, which is basically a living organism without the flesh in our legal system, to do something that you don't do personally? It's the same thing. Take more personal responsibility, preach more personal responsibility in your company. There'll be more corporate responsibility in your company. And if you're a leader or an entrepreneur, you better figure it out, because I got to tell you, I don't see how there isn't the understanding that you are the superheroes of the world right now. It's not the military. It's not the government. It's not a president. It's people in food. And it's people who are entrepreneurs also in the world that are taking a holistic view to the world's problems in their solutions as they develop their businesses. Not just, I'm solving this problem on my street corner and needs a pizza joint. What is it that I'm doing to make that pizza joint different? What is it that I'm committing to responsibility to that pizza joint? What is the bigger picture? Oh, I want a franchise. What can I do with that impact? Gluten-free options. Okay. What is it that the weed is? How am I looking at it? Is it, local tomatoes? Okay, maybe I'm going to get volume so they all can't be local. Is it organic, or is it raised in an organic way? Is it on rotational farms with animals? That's corporate responsibility, guys. How we spend our money. And I know everyone wants a profit, so there's this constant stress and push to spread your margins. I get it. But vertically integrating, getting closer to your local consumers, and building relationships will help spread your margins too. It's not just about spreading the dollar. It's about spreading yourself and taking risk yourself. And I guarantee you your margins get better, because if you're doing the right thing, your volumes go up. And even though a dime may turn into a penny in your margin and you don't want it to, and I'm not saying to do that, but in the volume of things, I will take 1,000,000 pennies over 1,000 dimes. Okay. So they're the same thing, but those millions of pennies are going to spread a lot more word, and I'm going to please a lot more people, and my business is going to grow. So the pennies turn into not 1,000,000 pennies. It turns into 2,000,000 pennies versus 1,000 dimes. Actually, I don't think they're the same thing. I think I did the math wrong. Sorry. I think 100,000. So I should have said dimes times 100,000, but whatever. Sorry about that. But either way, I think that, I don't know how you function in the world. I don't know how anymore, knowing what we know. And we want to talk about being woke up. Jesus Christ. The thing we need to wake up to is we're extincting ourselves. We've extinct everything on the planet. And believe me, I'm a conservative all the way. But this particular thing that we're doing with the way we consume food is destroying the planet. And it is the same thing we can reverse to save it. Straight up. I don't care if you think we're going to go to another planet. I don't care if you think we're going to be saved by some science. I don't care, whatever it is. God, no God, gods, no gods, whatever it is. The fact of the reality is no matter what it is, we have to eat for a long time. And no matter what it is, if we go to another planet or not, we still want the nutritional and the diversity of our animals and plants from this planet. It's what made us human. And we still want to make sure, no matter where we go, that we have a place to come back to. Always. It's the smart thing to do. It's not to burn what's behind us and move forward. I know we do that as humanity over and over and over and over again, and we don't care about the damage of the past generations, and they're not our fault. But listen, we can now stop damaging in reverse. We have the ability, the science, the knowledge, the belief, the communication, the message to be more responsible, personally and corporately. So honestly, like I said, unless it's part of the entrepreneur and the businesses that they're building, I find it very hard to even consider conversations and respect anymore, because money is only part of the picture. And the more it is, yes, it's important and it's not evil. I want to make billions. But what I am saying is that the money and the profitability have to go along with corporate responsibility. And I'm talking about with great power becomes great responsibility. So the larger your organization grows, the more responsibility you need to put in that organization, the people in it, the more community service, the more they should understand, if you're in food, what it means to buy the right type of food and what it means and the decisions and how they are superheroes in the fight of tomorrow. And in the United States, where our food service systems, we've completely fucked them up. Excuse my language, but we have. There's no other word to say it. They are foobar. They're fucked up beyond all recognition right now. They don't look the same. They've never been this bad. It is a complete disaster. And the real reason is we've had so many people retire or resign. We've had so many people not go into food service. And we have this thing we talk about, which is this general ongoing thing in families and parents and in colleges and universities and high schools to not go into food service, because everyone should stay around from the industry because it's going bad. Not responsible again. Everyone knows we need to eat. The most responsible thing we can do is make sure our food systems are okay. Our water, our food, our air. Just saying. Shelter, all that stuff, that's sort of secondary. We just take it for granted right now, because we can all get houses. At least most of us that are in the wealthier countries, we take it for granted. And in the countries that don't, they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to be entrepreneurs, but we need to empower them, bring them the shoe factory, not the shoes. And you guys can all guess who I'm talking about. They're a great company. I applaud what they've done. Great mission. Got it. Sold a lot of shoes. But honestly, if the shoes weren't being made in Africa also, and we weren't supporting both economies, the mission and the corporate responsibility to me is lost. It's great that you can put shoes on every person. How long does a shoe last? Not forever, but an entrepreneur and teaching kids, that lasts generations. You teach kids skills, business, morals, ethics, jobs, entrepreneurism, you start compounding legacies. We rob people of dignity when we do it for them. Straight up. And that's not being responsible. Being responsible is not making someone dependent on you. No matter what your intention is. I don't care how good it is or how many people's lives you want to save. It's not responsible. Humans have thought we know better than everyone and everything for thousands of years. Homo sapiens, 150,000 years. And we've extinct everything we come across. And we claim to be the wisest of all beasts. Well, we probably should start living up to the term we gave ourselves. Because we are not the wisest. Because we do not learn from generation to generation in the way that we should. We do not learn from the past mistakes of civilizations. We don't embrace our history or our biology or our chemistry classes of the past to understand what's really going on right now in terms of viruses and the differences and how we've survived as humans against viruses versus bacteria and germs, if you want to call them all that. We all get very vocal and with good intention claiming to be responsible, but we don't take the responsibility to actually verify the facts and look at the information, the science, and the history of what we're talking about. And we often say things and why it may seem right because we're applying today's context, What happens when humans organize as groups and do things together as groups, counter things happen, even with good intentions. I guarantee you the Nazis had thought they had good intentions. It was horrific what they did. Believe me, and someone's going to get mad at me. I'm going to call it something else on Instagram again. But let me tell you, I promise you, somewhere in the disturbed point of view was a good intention. Good intentions for someone or something. So, like, we do this where we get together as humans and we have good intentions, but we're not being responsible. We're putting what we think is best for everyone on everyone without everyone being able to make a decision for themselves. Were Jewish people really bad? Certainly the government told everyone they were. Just remember that we trust things, but there is a problem with human groupthink. And corporations have humans and a group of people that are outside the government that can be the white knights of the world. That can be the cowboys, that can be whatever it is. And sorry, that was masculine only. I didn't refer to the feminine, but I meant it in male and female. The white knights and knightesses, cowboys and cowgirls. Like that upstanding human, do the right thing, where it's okay to be mean, to fight evil. It's okay to have conviction and anger, to fight evil, to fight bad things, to fight fear-generating things. It's okay to speak up and have a voice and not want to try to fit in. And it's okay to be a company and take more corporate responsibility over the things that are going on in the world. And like, it's weird, like we should let people choose whether they work for us or not have the government tell us which policies we should use. It should be a competitive advantage. I handle it this way, they handle it that way, choose which company you want to work for. Just saying. You start dictating that all the workers have the same things, have to live by the same rules by the government, it starts looking a lot like socialism and communism. And so what is our corporate responsibility to the world, to the humans we're responsible for, to their dreams, to their legacies? And I'm not talking about make a decision for them. I'm talking about what is the corporation's responsibility to the world that it lives in, because it's a living organism. And as such a large giant, and as we grow them as entrepreneurs, what is it that I'm leaving behind with this organization? Because this organization and organism is mostly going to outlive just my father who started it. So that's one generation started with me, and Bob Dunn and Dan Etabello. Like, there's three guys there that definitely Foods First Partners is going to outlive. Hopefully it outlives me. That's two. That means the organism's now 2 generations of humans old. So think about that power. Think about if I had the ability to learn from 1 to 100 and then 100 to 200, and I had the ability to keep growing as an organization and an organism. We can make our corporations that. That is what they should be. They should be things that take care of the humans always, and our planet and our animals, on a level that we can't, on a level that's not suitable for the government to dictate across all people. That the corporations are still doing it in a way where there's enough public opinion and they're still small enough to regulate it, and the government still acts as a regulatory body so they don't get out of check. Governments, it's proper balance and checks. But the government can't be the white knight and the regulator. I would never write myself a speeding ticket. It's impossible. So if you're a government official, are you kidding me? You're never going to hold yourself accountable to the same laws. It's just not the way it is. Like, it goes against all human function. So corporate responsibility, it holds us accountable to what our goal is as a group of people, not only in making money and profit and taking care of our dreams and our children and our grandchildren, but also in the world we leave behind us. Our planet, our animals, our societies, our cultures, our communities. So it's a lot of responsibility, but a white knight and a cowboy or the savior or a Jesus Christ for example, is most likely not going to come out of one person anymore. There's too many of us, and there's too many of us to lead. And that type of impact, I believe it could happen. I believe there's always one human, but the human's going to rise out of a situation of disciples and people or a corporation, most likely, that's on a different level, that's doing the right thing on a different level and supporting people financially. Just saying. So corporate responsibility, like I'm saying, you want to be a true entrepreneur, you have to think about what you're doing to the environment. And you have to think about how you're empowering people and educating them and humans for the next generation. And you've got to stop thinking about how long they're with you and what their value is as long as they're at you as an employee. You got to start thinking about what the human's long-term value is to this world and how you tap into that, not only for your corporation, but for the world. That's the corporate responsibility. We have a lot of power. We make a lot of money. Like I said, I don't know how you do it in banking always. I have a lot of ideas. I'm not going to push it on anyone, but I know how I do it in food. And so this episode is to encourage all of you, regardless of you're in a business or you're an entrepreneur or you're in government, is what really is our personal and what really is a corporate responsibility. What are the things we should be doing ourselves as responsible as humans? And what are the things that our corporation should be doing as a whole in their function, in the way that they make money? Like I said, we make food, we distribute food, we have farms, cows, whatever. So our corporate responsibility is going more and more to regenerating the planet through farming and through food. That's the only thing I can control and I have an impact on as a corporation, as Food Service Partners, Primal Rock, Better with Bacon Fat, Grown Strong right now. It's where my expertise are. Most of them. So thank you guys. Elena, I don't know. Your generation's probably more in tune for corporate responsibility. Like I said, my generation is all about the marketing. I felt like mainly, not the actual performance or doing the actual task. I found a lot of corporations claim corporate responsibility, but really don't follow it up with the actions. So, but anyway.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of that. We actually had a corporate responsibility class that we had to take to graduate from the business school. So it's really interesting to hear your insights just as someone who's actually walked that road and been a big part of the industry and the food industry, which, like you said, is so different. So I really appreciated all that you shared today.
Awesome. And like, if anyone has questions, like, guys, please send us your questions. If you have something, you can DM us online. You can send us an email. I mean, corporate responsibility is really something that starts, what do we feel our personal responsibilities are? And, you know, what are the things that are, what's my responsibility? What's the government's responsibility? And what's the corporation's responsibility? That's the world we live in. Religion plays a part for sure, and our communities play a part. But in general, the three factors that matter in this world is my personal responsibility, the corporate responsibility, and the government's responsibility. And so if you want to be a leader, navigating those three, if you want to be a really successful leader, like long-term, and lead tons of people and make a huge difference in the world, you're going to have to navigate those three. And so we just started with with corporate responsibility. Elena and I will add personal responsibility and government responsibility and what leading means in those related to the same context over the next couple episodes. So we'll just do a 3-part series since I think it's important.
That sounds great. We appreciate everyone for listening and downloading and sharing our episodes, and we can't wait to talk to you next time.